The A-Game show back this week with MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy. And, sir, thank you for coming on. And what a busy time of year it has been and is for the MIAA right now, too.
Yeah, it's a great time of year, finishing up fall and winter sports in full swing, and Thanksgiving week, and a lot to be thankful for, Chris, around the MIAA.
Like we mentioned, a pretty busy time of the year, especially postseason play. Some fall championships wrapping up, but also some sports still going on. And we'll start with football. 4 teams still with games, 2 in the playoffs, 2 with bowl games. We'll start with the playoffs here. 4-seed Central Missouri out of the Super Region taking on Harding this weekend, and then you have Pittsburgh State taking on number 2 Grand Valley State. Pretty good representation from the league there in week number 1 of the postseason.
Yeah, Chris, we've got, I think I counted around 24 Division II football teams that are still practicing, either in the playoffs or preparing for a bowl game that they're playing in. So the MIAA with 4 schools out of that 24 or so that are still playing football, that's pretty good. We'll take that. We're obviously disappointed that with that loss at the end of the year, Missouri Western probably ended up in a bowl game instead of the playoffs, and maybe we have 5 MIAA schools that are still playing football, but we'll take it, and we're looking forward to seeing what both Pittsburgh State and UCM can do on the road this weekend in Division II football, and then the 1st of December we'll get to see Emporia and Missouri Western in both of their bowl games against Great American Conference opponents. So great time of year for MIAA football to be in postseason, show what we can do against other conferences, and I'm looking forward to watching this weekend's games.
As we kind of look at what we've seen so far from round 1, we'll get to more about, MIAA football postseason stuff later on in this conversation, but kind of a dominant showing there from the MIAA. Central Missouri's win in the 4-5 matchup, and then Pitt's in their matchup in the first round too.
Yeah, I agree. I thought both played really well offensively last weekend. I know that Pitt State was disappointed that they didn't maybe perform a little better in the run game against the University of Indianapolis. Indianapolis played really well on both sides of the ball on the offensive and defensive line. Pitt State heading to Grand Valley, that's a match of the Titans. And again, it sound like a broken record, but hate to see that type of a matchup in the second round of the NCAA playoffs. That's a semifinal game. That's a national championship type game. But when we go into the playoffs and we've got 7 of the 10 teams in the top 10 of the various national polls or rating indexes that are in the same geographic region, it makes it tough. But we'll play where they send us, and this weekend at Grand Valley, at Harding, 2 really difficult places to go play football. But I think UCM and Pitt State are playing good football, and hopefully the both schools will have a good showing this weekend for the conference.
And maybe making things worse is if both teams get through this weekend, we get an MIAA rematch here next weekend, and then that conversation continues on as rematches, and we had Grand Valley and Ferris in the first round. So
we had Delta State and West Florida in the first round. We can do better, and I know there's some folks that are trying to fix this and make it better, and I hope it happens soon.
We'll move on to some other fall championships around the MIAA as well. The MIAA Cross Country Championship at Gans Creek Country Course in Columbia. Pittsburgh State's men and women's teams won that one. Gans Creek, pretty good course for the MIAA, and Columbia's hosted that one, and just kind of a good opportunity for the MIAA there. And Pittsburgh State with a good showing again.
Chris, I don't know that since I've been commissioner anyway, I don't know that we've been in the type of facilities that we've been this past fall for our conference championships. That's one of the things we talk a lot about in our office, is creating an experience at conference championships that's unlike any other in NCAA Division II. We want our student athletes to walk away from a conference championship experience and say, it doesn't get any better than that, even compared to what the NCAA is able to do. And I think, you look at where we were at this fall, starting with cross country at Gans Creek, that we were at national caliber venues for our student athletes. Gans Creek, beautiful facility in Columbia, Missouri. They've hosted the Southeastern Conference cross country championship recently within the last 2 years. And it was a beautiful course, beautiful day for cross country in Columbia. And, another great place for cross country in the MIAA is Missouri Southern State University. And they hosted the national title, the national championships for men and women just this past weekend in Joplin. So our cross-country student athletes, Chris, got to run on two high-caliber courses, conference championship in Columbia, and then the national championship down in Joplin at Missouri Southern.
Absolutely. And we'll move on to MIAA Women's Soccer Championship over in Wichita Stryker Sports Complex. Emporia State won that. And we talk about issues with the postseason, but the Final Four from the MIAA got into the regional. So I guess bright note for fall sports there is that 4 teams got in from the MIAA there too.
Yeah, and we're still playing. We've got a matchup this weekend with Emporia State at playing Washburn again, I think for the maybe the third time this season. And that's a regional final that Emporia and Washburn will be locked in. So still got two soccer teams that are playing. But again, Chris, the quality of the venue we were at for the MIAA championship in Wichita, Stryker Sports Complex, a beautiful facility. They've got a stadium field. They've got a number of turf fields surrounding that for practice and other competition. They've got a full length indoor soccer complex that we could have moved into if we had weather issues. But as we were moving out, Stryker was getting ready to bring the National Junior College Athletic Association. They were rolling into Wichita for the week to stage their national championship for the NJCAA. So again, a high caliber neutral site facility that we were able to put our women's soccer student athletes in. And I think the student athletes and the coaches had a great experience.
And the last championship we'll talk about here, maybe a chance for St. Joe, and I can brag on Civic Arena a little bit. The MIAA Volleyball Championship coming back to St. Joseph this last weekend, and pretty good overall showing for the MIAA. Now we can get into the regional tournament conversation where team got left out as UCO did not make it in, as UCM and UNK were the 2 teams to get in. But the volleyball championship for the MIAA seemed like it was a pretty good turnout there for the league as well.
Yeah, let's not talk about the NCAA regional selections. That'll just get me fired up. How we left a team that finished second in the MIAA with 25 wins on the season is sitting home and not playing. That didn't make a lot of sense to me. And instead, a team with an 18-10 record gets to go. But anyway, we'll talk about the championship in St. Joe. And Chris, Brett Easley and his team with the Sports Commission put on an unbelievable week for MIAA volleyball. We had 8 teams that qualified and went to St. Joe. And let me just start by saying how many Division I or Division II volleyball championships include a police escort?
I was going to mention that part. Yeah.
For both championship teams from their hotel to the arena that includes some time on the interstate with both buses traveling, being led and followed by police cars routing through traffic and getting these teams to the arena in style. And that's the type of red carpet that we saw from St. Joe and their sports commission this past week. Civic Arena looks awesome.
Yeah.
Brand new lights, new chair backs, new scoreboard. Obviously a lot of things that they did for hosting the NCAA Division II Women's Basketball Championship last year and then again this year. Brett brought in a volleyball sport court from the USOC training complex in Colorado Springs. That sport court looked awesome. And I think it's being moved from St. Joe now to the NAIA is using it for their national championship. But St. Joe did a great job. We're happy that we're back there again next fall for our volleyball championship. And again, a neutral site championship experience that many of our student athletes that are walking away, if they are moving on to regionals or even the NCAA, they're not going to have that type of experience. We put it at a level that it's very hard to meet. And that's the type of thing we want to do in the MIAA, again, is provide this type of championship quality experience, neutral sites if we can, and create these lasting memories for our coaches and student athletes.
You talk about the MIAA volleyball coming back to St. Joe next year too. I know the last year was kind of a trial run to see how everything kind of goes on both sides, because there's neutral site and Civic Arena was just getting renovated and Brett had just kind of taken over the sports commission stuff. But what has sold the league so much on what the sports commission and Brett and St. Joe's done in the last 2 years now for the championship?
I think one word, it's hospitality. It's that commitment to creating a great experience for our student athletes, especially. But our fans felt it, our coaches felt it, our administrators felt it. But that's what Brett does, is just a different level of hospitality at a championship, and he knows that from working at Missouri Western, hosting NCAA events, being a member of our basketball committee, being the chair of our basketball tournament committee.
Yeah.
Brett knows how to do big events, and that's what is extra special about St. Joe and about this volleyball championship that can't be met really anywhere else we go. And that's the extra touches that Brett puts on hosting an event like this on behalf of St. Joe and making sure that everyone there connected to that event feels extra special.
This year he added police escorts, and knowing Brett, I'm sure he's going to add something else next year that I don't know how you maybe top police escorts in that sense, but I'm sure he'll try to find a way to
maybe indoor fireworks.
I'm all in on that. Brett would probably be a little bit nervous on that, but hey, it's worth a shot.
Yeah,
at least once.
Pun intended, right?
Yeah. You can do things once. It's the second time around that maybe you shouldn't have done it. But
that's right.
All right, we'll move on. Some news coming out of the MIAA this week. Northeastern State will go independent in football starting next year. Obviously, a change now for the league. I guess first starting off for you, for Northeastern State, what does this do for them? Because they're not leaving the conference; they're just going independent in football moving forward.
Yeah, they approached us about this idea, and they're classifying it as a temporary pause of their football membership. But they look around, they understand what MIAA football is. Not everyone else around the country does, but Northeastern State, playing it week to week, understands that every time, whether it's a home game or a road game, you're playing an MIAA game, it's a battle. And their program has declined to a point that they just felt that they're going to be better off the next couple of years competing as an independent. They just got rid of their football coach and staff. They're hiring a new coach. They want to try to figure out over the next few years what it takes to get back to a level where they can be competitive and compete week to week in the MIAA. And that's what this is about, is giving Northeastern State that pause in football membership where they can go build an independent football schedule. And that might be a couple of games against MIAA opponents. It might be playing a lot more against the GLVC or some other games that they may be able to get at the Division II level where they'd have a better chance to compete, and then probably some games against some NAIA opponents that will allow them to be competitive, build their program back up, and at some point, I'm confident, Chris, that we'll see them back as a football member in the MIAA.
So as we look at this for next year, and Lincoln's gone at this point next year, everybody's already got the bye week. Northeastern State's still on the schedule. What does this do for the conference to go from those 11 teams now down to 10 teams where there's 9 conference games now?
Yeah, I think what it does for the conference is it gives all of our schools an opportunity to go out and find someone to put on the schedule that's not 0-11. And it's going to help, obviously, with your strength of schedule, a very important criteria when it comes to looking at how teams compare with each other and who should make the playoffs or postseason. This objective, this goal that I have is to position the MIAA every year where our top team is hosting the playoffs all the way through. Home field advantage. And that's what this is about. Next year we've got an opportunity if schools want to find someone else to play and Northeastern State can find someone else to play. We can let that, we can approve that switch in games. But beginning in 25 and 26, Chris, we're building out a 9-game schedule where everyone in the conference would play everyone else. And then we'd have 2 bye weeks or 2 open weeks at the beginning of the season that our schools could go out and play non-conference games. And, I'm hopeful that some of those non-conference games include games against Ferris State, Grand Valley State, West Texas A&M, go down the list of schools in our Midwest area that may have some open weeks. Let's go play them. And let's show, that when it comes to MIAA football, there's no one close. And the best team in the MIAA every year should be hosting the football playoffs all the way through the championship. So that's what this is about, is positioning our institutions for postseason seeding and postseason bursts. And I'm excited about what the MIAA looks like with 10 institutions and what that schedule will look like in 2025 and 2026.
In a roundabout way, I mean, like you said, like for Lincoln and Northeastern State, Lincoln obviously getting a different conference, Northeastern State going outside and finding maybe better strength of schedule for them. Is it disappointing in the fact that it's come to this for the league to have to maneuver so much for the NCAA selection not to hurt the league for maybe those teams that are struggling and not, winning football games, that they diminish the MIAA for that at times too when it comes to postseason bursts at the same time?
Yeah, I guess it is a little disappointing that some of the innovative changes and things that we want to see happen in Division II football, the way we select teams, the way we bracket teams, some of the policies that we follow, some of the rules that we have. We're still fighting hard for a change in week 0, but we have to react to what the system is and what we're currently playing in. And this is a move, I think, that will help the MIAA get stronger, get better, have a better looking strength of schedule at the end of the year. And that's positive for our member institutions. For Northeastern State, they'll remain committed in all other sports. In the MIAA, they're a committed member in in basketball and tennis and other sports that they sponsor. They're a full dues paying member. This arrangement does not give them the opportunity to go and join another conference in football. This is strictly a request from them to be an independent, and that's what our presidents have approved. And Northeastern State, like I said, I'm confident that as the MIAA continues to expand and grow, at some point, perhaps we'll see Northeastern State back in as a full football member as well.
You mentioned the word expansion. Now it's down to 10 teams in football. Is there still plans for the expansion and the growth of the league at the same time, even though we've seen 2 teams exit the football side the last couple of years too?
Oh, definitely. The presidents are committed to that. The presidents are committed to continuing to grow the MIAA and are really focused, Chris, on institutions in the Midwest that are public universities, like most of our current MIAA members, regional public universities that have football. And we could grow. We could add a couple of more football schools, and as early as 2025, instead of a 10-team football league, we'd be at 12. And at that point is when we would really look at having divisions, Chris, a north and a south. If we go to 12 football schools or 14 football schools, we'd be in a North Division, South Division, and still trying to play 9 conference games with two non-conference games at the beginning of the schedule. That would be the format. But there's certainly the news when we met and had this conversation about the request from Northeastern State. There was a unanimous agreement among all of the presidents in that meeting in the MIAA CEO Council that they want to continue to grow and they want to continue to expand. We can continue to be a little patient and selective in making sure that the schools that we want to expand with, that it's positive for the school and positive for the conference. It adds value to our conference. But if we need to play with 10 schools in 2025 and 2026, we're prepared to do that. And if we're able to expand and create a divisional schedule to have football in the MIAA, we can do that as well. This action by the President's Council opens up lots and lots of options, and we can be flexible, Chris, in how we move forward.
And I'll ask you that one final question. You talk about being kind of picky, kind of waiting to see what right schools come into this. I'm assuming one can assume there's still schools looking at wanting to join the MIAA. This has to be the right fit for both sides of the table too.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's interest, Chris. I think how serious that interest is and how soon that could occur. I think that those conversations still have to continue, but I know there's interest. I know there are schools that look at the MIAA as a very stable conference, a conference that's committed to excellence, a conference of like-minded institutions, a conference that, when you look at the profile of our schools and the communities that they're in, are great college communities, supportive of their member institutions. And the MIAA is positioned for whatever's next in the NCAA, however the NCAA may restructure, reorganize, what changes occur in the NCAA. The MIAA is well positioned to be ready for whatever's ahead. So schools look at that and they see that, they see excellence, they see stability, they want to be a part of that. And again, we've got to continue to have those conversations to figure out the right schools, a benefit for the school, a benefit for the conference, and what the right time is to make those changes.
MIAA Commissioner Mike Racy, thank you as always for the time. And we still got some football. We still got some postseason fall sports going. And winter sports have already begun, and it's the holidays. So here we are, busy as ever.
Yeah, it's a great time of year. It's one of my favorite times of the year to have all of this going on, and I wish everyone out there, Chris, a happy Thanksgiving. It's great time of year for college sports. It's also a great time of year to be together with family and friends and celebrating everything we have. A lot to be thankful for. And Chris, I'm thankful for you that we get together every so often to have this show and talk about the MIAA. So I appreciate everything you do for the conference.
Absolutely, pleasure to do it, and thank you for all the time you give me and all the opportunities that we had to talk about a wide variety of topics as well along the way. So happy Thanksgiving, sir.
You bet. Take care.